Hey guys, making another guide here. This is for Ursoc and dragons. This is Ursoc here. He's a really straightforward fight, only one phase, and only a couple mechanics. So essentially the main gimmick of this fight is that you have to split your raid into two groups. The reason for that is he does a charge at a fixated target, and that charge does damage based on how many people it hits, how many people he charges through, and then those targets take 500% more damage from the direct charge for any subsequent charges. So you need to make sure that you're not taking two charges in a row at any point. So what we basically do is we have raid split into two groups. Group 1 stands behind his butt, and the fixate takes the charge to the center of the room or further, and everyone who's behind him gets hit by the charge, reduces the damage for the whole raid, and then the next group steps in behind his butt, and Group 1 steps out. Pretty straightforward. Just kind of as a nuance there, if you are the fixate, you also take damage based on how far away you take the boss. So if you just take him right behind the group, then you take 1.5 million damage reduced by distance, so you'll probably take an additional million. It'll probably kill you. So make sure that you take it to at least the center of the room or further back. The other thing that he does is called Roaring Cacophony. And that basically just does raid-wide damage and does increasing damage. He gets a little buff, 10% per cast. So it's kind of a softened rage in the fight. You need to make sure that you kill him before he does just fatal damage to your raid all the time. Your healer's going to have a hard time keeping up. This is basically going to be the butcher of this instance. It's going to be high healer check, but extraordinarily high DPS check, at least on Mythic. On Heroic and above, whenever he does Roaring Cacophony, he also casts Nightmare Cacophony, and that just drops a Void Zone on the ground, a 20-yard Void Zone, and so you'll have to move the boss slowly around the room. And so that adds a little bit of complication, making sure that the charges are in a good place and no one's get hit by two. On Mythic, within the Nightmare's Cacophonies, there's these like Phantom Bears, and they essentially just need to be... whenever he casts Roaring Cacophony, they need to be avoided because they'll also do their own little mini Roaring Cacophony, and anyone who's within the Void Zone will get feared. The Void Zone itself doesn't tick very hard, so if you need like extra room for a second, it's not a bad place to use, but just make sure that you're out of that Void Zone whenever he's casting Roaring Cacophony. Otherwise, he has a 30% little mini enrage, more damage, more attack speed. And tanks, you have two mechanics that you need to make sure aren't overlapping and stacking. But from what I understand, you can basically just taunt anytime he applies either of these, and they'll work themselves out. But Blizzard's already confirmed this is going to be one of the biggest DPS checks in the instance, as we suspected, so make sure that you are optimized for single target DPS. That is Ursoc. Alright, next up, Dragons of Nightmare. So this is another boss where you split the raid. The basics of it is that each boss has their own application of a debuff called Mark of Ysandra or Mark of Amorous. And if it hits 10 stacks, which they cast every 15 or 20 seconds, then you will be put to sleep, non-dispellable, non-bubbleable, anything like that, for 50 seconds, I believe. So you need to avoid that, and the way that you avoid that is basically you have your raid on one side of the room, or one group on one side of the room, the other on the other, and the tanks just at 7 or 8 stacks taunt the other dragon from the other tank and just swap dragons. Each dragon has their own abilities, so you'll have to fight every dragon in the fight to make sure that you have time to kill this. They have shared health, and the dragons who are in the air and flying, because you only fight 2 at a time on the ground, will come down at 65 and I believe 30%, and take the place of one of these other dragons. Ysandra's abilities are Nightmare Bloom, which spawns a little flower on the ground, and that flower, you see one there underneath my player nameplate, will deal ticking damage to any player standing in it, but if anyone is not standing in it, it'll spawn adds. So you need to make sure that one person is standing in each of those to stop them from spawning adds. The adds just reduce your damage by 50%. Stacking for everyone that's nearby, so they'll spawn these adds fairly quickly. I believe they even spawn a set of 3 guaranteed whenever she spawns a flower. But just make sure that those are kept away. Tanks, just pick them up, and DPS, you can kill them from pretty far. Their damage reduction is a pretty small radius. Sandra's other ability is Defiled Vines and Eruption. Basically, puts 2 void zones in the grounds. After a couple seconds, they explode, but anyone who was within that area gets rooted. So if you have your own root breaking ability, use it immediately, and then healers will single dispel or mass dispel as necessary for anyone who's left behind. And then just move out of that void zone. Amorous is the other dragon, another dragon. Amorous has a couple abilities as well. Spawns adds, I believe in melee, but could be anywhere, that just cast AoE damage to the whole raid. Kick them, they're kickable, stun them, kill them. Pretty straightforward. Any adds that die turn into mushrooms that just then explode. And so move away from those mushrooms as well. Lethon has 2 abilities. Siphon Spirit basically pulls spirits out of several players around the entire room, and those players move slowly towards Lethon. If they reach Lethon, they will heal Lethon and Ysandre for like 20 million health or something like that. But they are CCable, slowable, rootable, so you just need to make sure that you kill them wherever they are. If those spawn during a dragon transition, we might need to delay the dragon transition by like 1 or maybe 2 stacks. To make sure that those spirits die and we don't, pull Lethon through them on our way over. He also has a dot called Shadow Burst, which basically he just puts a debuff on a player, and after 10 seconds that player puts 3 applications of Shadow Burst onto the 3 nearest allies. And that lasts 21 seconds and it stacks. So that comes out faster than every 21 seconds, so you just need to make sure that whoever you're dropping it on, the 3 nearest allies, are not 3 allies who already have an application of it, because that dot actually hurts a ton. So just try and make sure that you drop, that one person drops theirs in range, one person drops theirs in melee, and just kind of alternate like that. And then Terrar, basically it drops Sleeping Fog on the ground. It's just really straightforward. It's just don't stand in it or it puts you to sleep. We can dispel it, but we're going to be strapped for dispels and mana. And then while he's flying, he does a Mass Fear. And the fear just hits the whole raid, 3 seconds. It's just kind of disruptive, nothing terrible in itself, and it might pull you out of a flower on Ysandre and cause an ad to spawn, but just deal with it as necessary. And then otherwise, he splits himself into 2 images on the tank. Nothing to note about that. He's just 2 people, so don't freak out when you see that. He's got 2 breaths, 2 tail swipes. All the dragons have breaths and tail swipes, so make sure that you're tanking them appropriately. Mythic changes at 90, 60, and 30%. There is a lumbering Mind Gorger that spawns. And the Mind Gorger, if it hits full energy, it'll instantly kill the raid. But the Mind Gorger doesn't spawn in this room. In order to get to the Mind Gorger, he spawns beyond those portals on each corner of the room. And those portals, if you run into them, they just kind of teleport you. So whenever that spawns, you need to send a couple people from each side through the portal, and you should meet up in the same location to kill that. Don't believe it needs to be tanked. It only has 1 ability, and that's just a Shadow Crash, that if you eat it, it reduces your damage by 50% for like 6 seconds or something. So just make sure that you avoid that and that you kill that quickly. I'm not sure how much time you have to kill it. On Mythic, that mechanic was bugged and completely ignorable. So yeah, just be ready to kill it within, say, 30 seconds. Otherwise, that is the entire fight for dragons. And note to our subscribers, these are just quick and dirty guides for Heroic. For Mythic, we'll continue to do our visual guides, since I had a couple people ask. Thanks for watching.